Thank you for listening to Scandinavian Crimes Podcast. Be sure to check out the episode links and be part of our other social media platforms where you can leave a topic suggestion or even share some of your insights regarding the subject matter of the episode. We will always do our best to provide a well-researched episode, but sometimes due to limited access to information and translation issues, some information can be lost. It is therefore good to do your own research and get a deeper understanding of a case of your own interest. So with that all said, let us start today's episode.
So welcome to Scandinavian Crimes. My name is Devante, and say hello to my lovely co-host, Delila.
Hi!
And on this podcast, we will cover famous Scandinavian criminals who made their mark throughout Scandinavian history. So today we're talking about a very tragic incident that shook Norway. Faiza Ashraf, a 26-year-old Pakistani-Norwegian woman who was abducted on February 3rd, 2010 from a bus stop in Haslum, Bærum, while she was on her way to work. Now, her lifeless body was later discovered near the parking lot in Solli. Now, in this case, the police swiftly responded to a distress call made by Ashraf, which eventually led to the arrest of Shamraz Khan and Havad Naflat. Now, forgive me if I butchered the name, but you already know the deal in this podcast. One of the arrests of the assailants confessed to being involved in the kidnapping, claiming that he acted under the other's orders. The notorious case was widely known as the Faiza case, captured significant media attention in Norway, becoming one of the first instances of non-gang related contract killings in the country's recent history. The case also tells a tale of how someone's obsession can be very much fatal and so dangerous. So, one thing I do want to mention as well is that this episode is very special, very interesting as well, is that usually when me and Delila are recording, we're in two different places. We're just, usually in our own little pockets and bubble. But right now, me and Delila are in the same room.
Ooh.
I'm so dead.
I don't know what kind of sound effect you want me to do.
So we're currently in the same room. So for the next couple episodes, that will be the case. And obviously, when, we go back to our prospective countries and all that stuff, we will probably let you know about that too. But either way, grab your tea, grab your snacks, go find yourself a little corner to sit down in to listen to the podcast and enjoy yourself in silence, or maybe not, maybe listen to it with friends. And today, we'll be discussing the murder of Faiza Ashraf. On a chilling winter morning on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2010, the tranquil routine of Ashraf's life was shattered as a 26-year-old stood at a bus stop in Haslum, eagerly waiting for her daily commute to downtown Oslo. Little did she know the sinister fate awaited her. Suddenly, a car screeched to a halt, and before she could react, 25-year-old Harvard Naflat forcefully pulled her inside and locked her in the trunk. However, Ashraf's spirit remained unbroken. Despite the terrifying situation, she managed to reach for her cell phone and dial the police, her trembling voice relaying her desperate plea for help. Although she couldn't provide her exact location, at least one vigilant passerby witnessed the horrifying abduction. Naflat stopped the car after a tense interval disclosed a shocking truth to Ashraf. He had claimed that he had been paid a hefty sum of money by a mysterious third party to carry out her kidnapping. Assuring her that he wouldn't harm her, he continued the journey deeper into the unknown. Ashraf, determined to survive, shared this crucial information with the police, providing them with a description of her captor and even revealing the identity of Khan, the man she believed who had orchestrated her very own abduction. Khan had been relentlessly pursuing her for 5 years, subjecting her to torment and harassment. Their journey led them to a secluded forested area of Solli and Asker, just outside of Oslo. Naflat, discovering that Ashraf had become unresponsive, heartlessly dragged her lifeless body to a shallow grave he had prepared in advance. It was a mere 200 meters away from the popular ski trail. To erase any remaining traces, he meticulously vacuumed the trunk and resorted to making a makeshift blowtorch, desperate to eliminate all of the evidence. Shortly after, Naflat and his girlfriend fled to Sweden, leaving a trail of unanswered questions behind them. News of the young woman's disappearance spread quickly. On February 3rd, the police announced her vanishing, launching a massive search operation. Armed officers halted and meticulously inspected all traffic passing through Asker, hoping to find any leads. The afternoon, Shamraz Khan, a 28-year-old taxi driver, was apprehended in Oslo after Ashraf had implicated him as a possible accomplice during her distress call. Friends revealed that she had expressed fear and felt threatened by Khan due to his history of harassment as well as stalking. Initially, Khan vehemently denied being involved, instead expressing his desire to assist in finding her. The expansive Vestmarka woodlands, where Ashraf's last cell phone signal had been detected, became the focus of intense searches by an army of police officers and dedicated volunteers. Yet despite their tireless efforts, the missing 26-year-old remained elusive. In a bid to widen the search, authorities issued a yellow notice, suspecting the possibility of an abduction leading to her being taken abroad. The grim truth began to unfold on February 10th when the police arrested 25-year-old Harvard Naflat, suspecting him of carrying out the kidnapping. Under intense interrogation, Naflat confessed that Ashraf had tragically lost her life and disclosed the location of her remains. He claimed that, burdened by gambling debts, he had abducted Ashraf under Khan's orders, and her accidental suffocation had led to her untimely demise. Khan, on the other hand, denied any involvement in her murder, asserting that his intentions had been to have her kidnapped and subjected to torture as consequence of her refusal to marry him. The path of the two suspects had crossed during Naflat's employment at a gas station in Tavita, where Khan was a regular customer. The trial that followed sent shockwaves through the nation. On May 4, 2011, Naflat and Khan were convicted of second-degree murder and kidnapping, although neither was found guilty of premeditated murder. Their sentence of 8 and 17 years in prison respectively left Attorney General Tor Axel Busch dissatisfied. He personally ordered the appeals and convinced the court they had made an erroneous decision. During the retrial, both men were found guilty of premeditated murder and kidnapping, resulting in an increased sentence for 19 years for Khan and 18 years for Naflat. They were ordered to pay 200,000 Norwegian crowns in compensation to Ashraf's grieving parents. On March 28, 2012, the Supreme Court of Norway declined to review the cases, effectively putting an end to the appeals process and closing a chapter on this harrowing tale of abduction, deceit, and tragic loss.
This is the nightmare I feel like every woman has, to be kidnapped by a stalker. And what's tough with stalkers is that you can't really do anything until they physically hurt you. And you can report, I guess, if you have a lot of evidence, but even then it's quite hard to do anything against stalking, especially somebody like him who seemed to be so obsessive with her marrying him to the point where he ended up asking somebody else to, he was part of the kidnapping, if I assumed it correctly.
Yeah, he wasn't there the day of, but he
let somebody else kidnap.
Yeah, he paid somebody else to kidnap.
And they were kind of okay, bye, we're gonna leave the country now.
Yeah.
Okay. But they didn't leave the country yet.
The one who kidnapped the girl, he left the country, but not with the body. Remember, he buried her, and then he left after with his girlfriend because he had gambling debts, so he got paid.
Why I was thinking, I was like, okay, but did the police, because they seemed to have put them on trial.
Yeah, they did.
So then I guess his escape didn't really do anything. It
didn't really pan out. He got caught within, at least from the story, it seems like he got caught with it.
But he was escaping because of gambling issues, and
he was escaping because she died and she wasn't supposed to die, but he took the money because of gambling debts. So it seems like when he left with his girlfriend, I guess in hopes to not be detected, he left immediately to Sweden because
that's the worst place to escape to. He should have went to a completely different.
I guess his thought was, if I can get out the country before he's suspected, then, you know, he'll be like, oh, I was in a different country. Like, he was trying to, I guess, make an alibi, but that didn't really work out very well.
Sweden? Like, at least go to, like, I don't know, Ireland, like UK, to the islands, like somewhere not a neighbor. I don't know. I mean, I guess UK is kind of a neighbor, but it's like on like,
it's a little further away.
It's a sea in between, at least. Either way, this is like a nightmare kind of thing. Kidnapped and then murdered. Even though I guess they didn't plan for the murder, I'm glad that they got charged for the murder. Because usually when stuff like this happens, I don't know why, but I feel like even though not only this case, but like the other cases we've been talking about, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like they're very lenient in like giving, I mean, any type of like, I don't know, they're very like kind with how they judge if there's like a very obvious evidence. But even with that,
they still got retried because they felt like,
but because one person was like not satisfied with it. Well, what's his name?
Attorney General Tor Eskel Bush. He's
like, nope.
Yeah, he was like, no, there's no way, that is not premeditated. Truthfully, even though the guy did take the money, I'm surprised he ended up getting more time, even if it's by 1 year. I'm surprised he got more time.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the
guy who actually did the killing or did the abduction and then she died while with him? I'm surprised like they actually got more time than a person who was planning it. Like, I'm surprised because usually in the States,
it's the opposite.
It's like the person who planned it is basically held primarily responsible, because if they didn't plan it, then the crime wouldn't have happened. Versus the person who did the crime was just, you know, a byproduct of the person who planned it. So usually it's like flipped. Usually the person who planned it would, like, depending on the crime, would get more, and then the other person would get like a little less. So,
but that's interesting though, because like, even though they're planning it,
even if they didn't do it,
the planning is also like, it showcase intent.
Yeah.
But like, the person who did the act is also equally part of the plan and also doing the act in itself. So I don't think that, I don't know. I think both are valid judgments, and I think both should be, if not equally, like it should be kind of equally to me how they're judged. Is how I feel. Because like hitmen obviously have to be punished for killing people. I'm not saying he is a hitman in itself, but
he was technically hired.
He was hired to do something. So he, in that case, can be classified as that type of profession.
Yeah, like I said, it's subjective, but that's what I'm saying. At least for me, it's a little surprising.
I think it's fair. I think that this is very fair.
Either way, I think they both are going away for a while, and they're not going to come out until like they're in their 40s or 50s and all that stuff. So honestly, justice was served in this case. They got the, like I said, this case was wrapped up within like. I think that they should have
compensated with like more money though.
I mean, sure, but if they're in prison, I mean, they can't really work. So.
But 18 years is actually a long time. I don't know how the laws in Norway is, but like I think in Sweden, as I've said in previous episodes, I think like lifetime is like between 12 to 15 years or something. And I think Finland is the same, but Norway here, they're like 19, 18 years. I'm like, oh, okay.
I think they reserve it for the most like heinous of acts, but either way, like I don't really have one. This is a very short story, but also two, this is, once again, we bring awareness, so it's not like a story as in like, oh yeah, a story, but this is, I'm satisfied with the result because one, the police were very active, and even though Faiza Ashraf, she lost her life, she still tried to fight. She still called the police. She still did everything she was supposed to do. And unfortunately, she lost her life. But in reality, the police were very proactive. This case was solved pretty quickly. And compared to like some other situations where it could have been dragged out, it could have been, could have ended up taking months, but they did this relatively quick. So good police work, justice, especially with the Attorney General making sure that they got as much time as they deserved. So justice all around. And this is an example of not only keep fighting no matter what the situation is, especially for a lot of women out there, just no matter what the situation, keep fighting. Even though she lost her life in this situation, fighting still increases your chances of being found alive than not fighting. So always advocate for that. But also just, this is an example of good police work, of them being proactive. And the second they got the call, they started to work on it. So this is what should be happening when, people call the police and they were able to solve this crime, get them charged, and they're convicted, and all this stuff happened relatively quickly compared to how slow it could have taken. So I'm pretty satisfied with the outcome for the most part.
And also how to deal with a stalker. Make sure that you report and have as much evidence as you can of the stalker. And if you have a chance, record so as well, because that's when they usually back away. Or be around, obviously, people or don't go alone, and regular stuff like that. And also, if you can, try to file for what's it called now again?
A restraining order?
Yeah, a restraining order. Even though that's a very hard thing to do, but if you have enough evidence and everything, you can do it. So yeah.
So I think we're pretty okay. So this one's going to be short finally, but let's wrap it up with the usual nice little vibes, little VBs. So what are you feeling? Matter of fact, I'm going to shout out the spaghetti I made.
I was about to say spaghetti. I was like, spaghetti.
I'm going to shout out the spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Tomato sauce with spaghetti.
Little bit
Parmigiano
of
cheese.
And then, just a little bit of spice.
I even added some cream.
It was good, actually. It was good.
Oat cream, because I like that oat cream we have. So it's really good.
It's really good. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Really short compared to the usual. Finally, we have a short episode. We've been bombarding you with relatively longer episodes, but this one is just technically a small one, little light break. And next week's episode is going to be a longer one. So, and it's going to have a lot of information. I might split that into part 2 maybe. We'll see how that plays out. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you have a great Monday or whatever day you're listening to this podcast on. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.